Okay, today we're still going to be working on factoring trinomials. Oh, factoring trinomials here, okay? So this is what we kind of worked on in class on Friday. You see the examples that we did on the front side, and we're going to take a look at the back side here in just a second. But what I want to do is I want to show you there's actually a shortcut to this so that we don't necessarily have to show all of our work, okay? So if I look here at example number 1, I found the factors to be -3 and -3. If I come down here, I've got x minus 3 and x minus 3, okay? So let's go to the second one. I am looking for factors of 4 that got me 4. I found 2 and 2. If I come down here and look, my factors are y plus 2 and y plus 2. All right, and then let's go over to number 3. Same thing here. When I look inside right here, I see my factors are 2, -15, and I come down and look at my final answer. I end up with a 2 and a -15. This is always going to be true when we have a 1 leading the way. And so what I'm talking about here is if we have a 1 out in front, okay, then we can shortcut once we find our factors. So I find my factors here of -7, 12, and I get a 12 and a -7. Now we do have to be cautious with the variable out back. We've got to include that out back as well. Okay, and so the last example to kind of look at here before we flip over. So number 5, again, I have a 1 out front, okay, and so I'm looking, my factors are -8 and 3. I come down here, my answer is a -8 and a 3. All right, so let's look at the second page here. So flip over. And we're going to look at number 10, okay? Now, I told you on Friday that I was going to be taking away the magic X from you, so it's up to you to make it today, all right? So I'm going to find factors of, and put 8 on top, so factors of 8 that add to 6. So my factors would be 2 and 4. All right, so once I have my factors, I can go straight to writing my final answer. I don't have to do all the long process that we learned on Friday. Now, if you want to do it, that's fine, but I'm showing you a much quicker, easier way to do it, okay? So here, I'm going to take whatever variable I've got front, so x and x, and then I'm going to write in whatever I found here. So x plus 2 and x plus 4. And this is my final answer, okay? Again, I can do it because there is a 1 leading the way. All right, so let's go over and look at number 11 here. Okay, now this one we've got 2 variables, but remember we don't worry about that right off the bat. Okay, we're still going to make our magic X here. So I'm going to look for factors of 28 that get me -11. How about 2 and 14? And let's make that 14 a negative. Okay, all right, so now when I write my factors, the w squared is going to go w and w, and the x squared is going to be sitting out back, okay? And now let's plug in our 2 and our -14. So I have w plus 2x and w minus 14x. And that's going to be my answer. Just be cautious when you've got the multiple variables. Remember, it's got to be represented down here. Also keep in mind there's a 1 out front. That's why we can shortcut. Starting tomorrow, we're not going to be able to shortcut because there's not always going to be a 1 out front. Okay? All right, number 12. All right, so this is one where we got to rewrite in order first. So I've got m squared minus 22m plus 21. So I am looking for factors of 21 that get me -22. So -21 and -1 will be my factors that I'm going to use. All right, again, I'm going to go ahead and break my m squared to m and m. And I've got a -21 and a -1. And that's my answer. Now keep in mind, if you're not 100% sure, you can always FOIL this out and make sure that you are getting the same answer that the original problem was. So +1, so I combine like terms, so I get m squared minus 22m plus 1. Exactly what we had just above right here. Okay, so just keep that in mind that you can always FOIL to check. Okay, all right, so number 13. Okay, so we're thinking here. Factors of -18, I get -7. Okay, remember if you can't come up with it right away, make out a little chart. So 1 times 18, 2 times 9, 3 times 6. I think the 2 and 9 is probably going to do me some good there. So I've got negative 9 and 2 would be my answer. You get a negative 7. So again, x squared goes to x and x, minus 9 and a plus 2. Okay. All right. Okay, so number 14. We talked about this briefly when we did our last worksheet, and that is, what do we do when there's no x in the middle? And I talked to you guys about rewriting it with a 0x in the middle. That still stands. So I've got x squared plus 0x minus 25. So I'm looking for factors of negative 25 that get me 0. We talked that they have to be the same number, and one needs to be a negative and one needs to be a positive. So my factors will be negative 5 and 5. So x minus 5 and x plus 5. Again, order is not important, just as long as you have the two factors. Okay? And keep in mind, once again, I have to have that 1 out front for this to work. Okay? Alright, and last one here. So I'm looking for factors of 12 that get me 9. Alright, nothing's coming off the top. So let's see, 1 times 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Okay, those are all the factors I have. Nothing works. So if nothing works, we're writing prime. Okay, and just keep in mind that prime just simply means it's not factorable. Not factorable. Okay, so prime would be your answer here. Okay, all right, and that concludes the rest of 8-6 notes.